esteemed members of PCCI Muntinlupa City Incorporated. Again, I am Marvin Tumandao, your host, and this is still PCCI Muntinlupa's free webinar entitled Path Forward to Business Recovery, Adapt, Integrate, Innovate, and Collaborate. All right, we shall move on to our next speaker. You know, in this time of pandemic, our cash flow is usually, most especially during the start of this pandemic, our cash flow is always outward because there is a stoppage of income, there is the lessening of income, and people are just at home, so we just always buy food and what we need at home. So we're just all in cash flow, always palabas, outward, outward, outward. So it is important that we are smart about our finances, and that's what we're going to talk about next. It's a talk on financial wellness during this crisis. And our speaker for today is a business owner and a consultant and a professor. She's called the Finbassador, Finance Ambassador, Financial Wisdom Ambassador. Please clap your hands for the energetic Ms. Raina Ventura.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, PCCI member. Thank you so much for having me here this afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hi, so I will be discussing about how we'll be able to be financially sustainable in times of crisis. Okay, can you hear me now? Loud and clear?
Yes, we can. Loud and clear.
Thank you. Chess, can you forward my slide, please, on the third page? So as I was saying, it was, there. As I was saying, it was March 17, 2020. I remember that very much when there was an announcement that we will be in ECQ. So at that time, I guess, we don't feel the impact. Probably some are excited at that time, I would say, because wow, 1 month of a vacation, I would say, for business owners like me, in a way, scary. That means 1 month, no income for the business and all, but sige, okay lang. All right? But then again, after 1 month, here comes second month, here comes third month, and the rest is history. We're already going 6 months to our ECQ and MECQ. And for business owners like me, I would say that we are all already feeling the effect of this pandemic. Just to let you know, I own a travel agency, and the travel agency, the tourism industry is one of the most affected industry by this pandemic. I also have another business that I am managing. It's a pharmaceutical distribution business. It's pharmaceutical. So some of my friends, my clients said, oh, you have a good business now because you're into pharmaceutical distribution. I would say, yes, probably that's a good business at this time because, you know, pharmaceutical, that's in now, health. But probably I would say I am in the wrong market. Wrong market because I am catering to industrial companies, to corporation. So March 17, when the pandemic, when the ECQ was announced, all the companies, my clients are also on closed store. That means I don't have a client to serve. Then after that, after 2 months, after 3 months, slowly businesses are coming in. But when the businesses are coming in, no one will request medicine in their clinics. Itatago nila na may sakit sila. Why? Papauwiin sila. Wala silang work. So that means, I would say, pharmaceutical business where I am in, hindi pa rin siya ganun ka-okay kasi I'm in the wrong market. Another business that I am managing is search firm. Nagtatanggalan po tayo ngayon. Walang nag-hire. So again, I can feel the emotion. I am in the same boat. We are all very much affected by this pandemic. Next page, please. But of course, we still have to take into account, and just next page, please. Next slide, please. We still have to take into account that there are 5 dimensions of self that we have to take into consideration. physical, mental, spiritual, social, emotional. I think Brother Bo already given us so much information about that. But then again, next slide, please. I will be focusing more on this aspect, the finance, okay? So is this important at this point? I would say yes, but probably others would say no. Next slide, please. Because normally, they would say money is the root of all evil. Hayaan mo na yung pera-pera na yan, okay lang yan. But again, we have to be practical and realistic about things. Maybe this is true. Next slide, please. But probably this is more true. The lack of money is the root of all evil. Therefore, it is just but important to talk about, next slide please, how will we be able to survive, sustain, and succeed financially during this pandemic. I will be sharing 5 tips on this, so it'll be quick, okay, easy to absorb. So the very first tip that I would be sharing is about this one. Next slide, please. At this period of time, we have to be able to recognize our best asset. Whether it's in our personal life and in business, we have to know that our best asset is, next slide please, ourselves. You, us. We are very important in generating finance, in generating a living, even if during this period. So therefore, we have to take care of ourselves first. Okay? We cannot help others if we will not be able to help ourselves. Therefore, again, we have to, next slide please. This is not about being selfish. This is not being about self-centered, but I would say financially, for us to be able to prosper during this pandemic, we have to love ourselves. But of course, this has to be next to God, first and foremost. Okay? What about the next one? At this time of the situation, we have to be able to appreciate, especially in business, our most important resources. What is that? Okay, next slide please. As the saying goes, human resource is the most important resources in business. And at this point in time, I would say that we have to be able to recognize, appreciate our employees. Whenever I teach, okay, next please, I will ask my student, there are 2 main reasons why businesses exist. Any guess? What are those 2 reasons? Pwede po kayong mag-type sa chat box. Yung gustong mag-guess. I think mayroong pa-prize. So anyway, next slide please. The main reason why businesses exist is because of these 2 objectives. Next slide please. The first one is profitability. Of course, we put up our businesses because of profit, because of profitability. And next slide, please. Also because of social responsibility. Maybe before the pandemic, the first objective, we were able to do that. The second objective, probably yes, we are, okay, in a way, okay. Providing employment can be considered social responsibility. But at this point in time, I would say that our employees needs us. And we will be needing them later on. So it is but important financially as well to share to our employees. Next slide, please. I know that, as our host said earlier, yung cash natin ngayon sobrang limited. We don't know who, paano natin siya i-generate. But then again, the universe is our friend. Okay? One day, we will get out of this strong. And of of course, when we get out of this successfully, we want people that's been with us to be getting out of this battle successfully as well. So let's share to our employees. Besides, next slide, please. A person who feels appreciated will always do more than what is expected. So we should love our employees because in return, they will love us. Next slide, please. And the third tip to be able to get out or to be able to be successful financially during this time, especially in our business, we have to be intimate with our business numbers. Okay, what do I mean by that? Next slide, please. In business, we have what we call financial statements. This is new to business owner. For sure, most of you understand that. Although yung iba, because may accountant naman tayo, may accounting department naman tayo, kung ano yung final, ano yung sinubmit, okay na yon. But I would recommend, I would say that during this period, we have to be intimate with those numbers. And what are these numbers? Next slide, please. We know that the major component of financial statement is our income statement, our balance sheet, and our cash flow. Next slide, please. Before pandemic, next slide, please. What is the most important of the three statements? Okay. Before pandemic, I would say that the most important is the income statement. I would say that most businessmen out there listening to me would agree. We always look at our income statement. Why? Next slide, please. Because this is where we see our bottom line. So our income statement will show us whether we are profitable or we're accumulating loss. So pag businessman kayo, agad yung gusto mo makita sa end of performance, end of month, no? Were you able to earn or not? So maganda ba yung bottom line or na-red ba yung bottom line natin? But that was during, before pandemic. Now, it's no longer that important. I would say income statement is not as important as it is at this point because majority, I would say, will have a red bottom line. Okay? Wala naman tayong upline, pero may middle line tayo. So most probably, ang bottom line natin, negative. Maswerte yung iba na kahit paano nagbe-break even. And lucky those who are on still a black bottom line, meaning kumikita pa rin. So therefore, during this pandemic, next slide please. During this pandemic, next slide please, I would say that this is the most important in the financial statement. Let's look at our balance sheet. What is balance sheet? It states your assets and your liabilities. What about asset and liabilities? It talks about the most important financial indicators of your organization. So what are those financial indicators that will be very useful for you, business owners, okay, at this point? Next, please. There you go. You have to look at your assets and your liabilities. So asset, look at your cash, look at your accounts receivable, look at your inventories if you have products, and then also don't forget to look at your accounts payable. Next, please. What about cash? Okay, in business, it would say, and we all know this, that cash is king. Therefore, whatever cash we have at the moment, we have to use them slowly and wisely because cash is king. So if you saw yung mga bank balances nyo, yung financial statement that you have cash in there, you have to be able to prioritize and use that cash wisely because we don't know how long this pandemic will last, di ba? Medyo scary nga yung news about aabutin pa to ng 1 year, 2 years, 3 years down the road. In fact, sa travel nga, sa tourism, sinasabi 2 years, 3 years bago makarecover. So, talagang we're very, very challenged. Next, please. What about accounts receivable? Okay, there's this story, no? In the nursery daw, sa nursery, kung sino yung sanggol na sobrang umiiyak, siya yung ipaprioritize ng nurse to give milk. So in business, experience natin yan, kung sino yung makulit mangkolekta, siya din yung uunahin natin. So at this point, I would say, we have to create our power collection. So yung mga ibang employees natin that's into sales, into other department like that, na pwede naman natin silang i-rotate for a job. I think this is our focus now. Look at Oriole collection. You know, I'm doing that right now. And I'm surprised. Actually, I was surprised and I will admit, yung iba pala dun, hindi na valid yung collection, nabayaran na pala, so on and so forth. Of course, because before the pandemic, we're too busy. Hindi na natin masyadong nare-review mabuti yan. Kung ano yung nasa report, yun na rin yun, di ba? We were more inclined to generating revenue because as I've said, the most important part of financial statement prior to pandemic is your income statement. Balance sheet, okay lang. At least accounts receivable, go for that. But this time, we have to review all our accounts receivable. Are they still valid? Alam ba ng client, alam ba ng client, sorry. Alam ba ng client na may collection tayo? Kasi magugulat ka, nagulat sila na mayroon pala silang accounts payable. So, kailangan natin linisin yan. Besides, if ever we will be able to negotiate to our clients and make a collection effort, they will also probably arrange something to us. At least we're expecting something. We're expecting an amount to be able to add up to our cash. Okay, next please. Another important financial indicator is our inventories. Okay, if we have products, of course, inventories are of different types. Meron tayo dyan packaging material, meron tayo dyan raw materials, work in progress, and we have finished goods. So ngayon, our focus is really our finished goods. How will we be able to liquidate those finished goods? People are smart buyers now, okay? Like you, like me, everybody else are being smart in spending, okay? So if ever we want to liquidate our inventories now, even at cost, we have to do that just to be able to generate revenue. Now, if we have raw materials there, if we have work in progress there, packaging material there, the lowest cost possible that we can convert those inventory into finished goods, that's providing employment. At least we'll be able to generate those, convert them into inventories, a good sound inventory, which is finished good, and later on liquidate it. Okay? Of course, this is in the assumption that our product is of essence. If not, may mga buyer pa rin tayo. I conducted a lecture nga the other week eh. Ang issue nung iba, masyadong enticing ng promo ni Shopee ngayon. Talagang napapabili at napapabili kami. So somehow or another, it's just a matter of finding the market. I would say there are still buyers. Okay, next please. If we are, okay, next, not yet. Anyway, the next part there, okay lang yan. Okay lang yan there. Okay, that one also. Accounts payable. Okay. We have to take care of our business partners. It's not only our employees, it's not only our clients, our supplier is as crucial as them. So we have to also be able to be responsible to them, okay? Like we are trying to collect to our clients, our supplier are also trying to collect from us. So therefore, let's try to bargain. Let's try to negotiate. My experience, again, I would say that in the other business that I am handling, I have like huge accounts payable. And honestly, because the operation stops, I cannot pay them the terms as agreed upon. So I am bargaining. I am in the process of talking to them and asking them, can we please amortize this in the next 6 months? You know, I am continuously negotiating to them. And I said, another term also, because there are still a little business out here, maybe all purchases that I will do from now onwards, I'll make it COD because I know you need that. But please, all accounts payable, because my money is also tied up into accounts receivable, if I can just amortize that. So we have to be responsible. They are our stakeholder. They are our partners to grow our business. So I would say negotiate. Talk about your accounts payable. Okay? So if before pandemic, income statement is the most important, and during pandemic, income statement still is important. But this is the second most important. You will not look at the bottom line anymore because most probably the upline or the revenue is not sufficient enough. Okay? So what's your focus now in your income statement? Your focus now is looking into your middle line, the operating expenses. So what about operating expenses? Of course, sabi naman natin, may mga nag-retrench, may mga ganon, may mga nag-reduce na tayo ng operating expenses, right? But if we cannot, as I've said earlier, of course, it will contradict if I say to you na, sige, tanggalin na lahat ng empleyado because I said, let's try to share. I think our employees need us the most at this time. So we have to provide them a living. We have to provide them employment. Now, we can always look at our operating expenses. In operating expenses, there are two types of expenses, right? Accountants would relate to that, fixed and variable. Yung fixed, ito yung wala ka nang magagawa. Lugi ka o hindi, fixed yan. Variable, flexible ito. But I think at this time, and based on experience also, and we're doing this, we can now convert most, if not all, our fixed expenses to variable expenses. Employees, for example, salaries used to be fixed expense, right? Lugi ka o hindi, you have to pay your employees as agreed based on your contract kung ano yung napag-agreehan yung monthly pay niya. But at this point, talk to them. We can only pay you this much. We have to generate this and you have to earn this. Okay? Rental, for example, if you are renting a space. I think some landlords now are very cooperative. They give discount. They reduce expenses. So, meaning, second most important at this point is to review your operating expenses. Again, one by one, and try to convert all fixed expenses to variable expenses. It can be done. Okay? So, next. Okay? Next, please. Next, please. And the fourth tip is, I think, the best lesson. Next, please. The best lesson that we'll be able to learn during this pandemic, learned, okay, is to downgrade our lifestyle. Okay? It's no-brainer, all right? Before, I would say, travel dito, travel doon, bili dito, bili doon, kasi okay lang, no? Pero this time, we have to be able, all of us, okay, to be able to learn how to downgrade our lifestyle. Because at this point, next please, it is no longer about needs versus wants. It is already about needs and about that need, is it essential or not essential? Yun na yung pinag-uusapan ngayon. Okay? Because most of us, we're trying to convert na kahit nga needs siya, kailangan na natin i-analyze yun. O sige, nito, pero essential ba to o hindi? Kaya naman maghintay, sige. Alright? So that's this time we have to be able to learn that. And finally, the last of my tips is the wealthy over poverty mindset. Okay? Next, please. You know, in finance, whenever I conduct this lecture, I will always, and I like this saying, what the mind can conceive, the body can achieve. Okay? Ang finance kasi, you know, parang money are there in the universe. If you like them, they'll come to you. If you love them, they'll come to you. Okay? Pero pag sinabi mong mali yan, bawal yan, root of all evil yan, mind you. Okay? Parang friend ito, sino yung lalapit sa'yo if they know that you don't like them. Okay? So, in finance, pag sinabi natin na ang hirap ng buhay, ang hirap ng pera, ang lahat mahirap. Ladies and gentlemen, mahirap talaga. Okay? But if we have this wealth mindset na madali, kaya, magagawa, it can be done, we have to think ahead. Okay? Like during this period, financially, sobra, di ba? First 2 months, okay pa, medyo enjoy pa eh. No? Nag 3 months na, nag 4 months na, dumadating na yung bill, parang hindi mo na alam sino yung uunahin mo. You have responsibility, right? But then again, we have to have this wealthy mindset that, you know, ngayon pa lang, sasabihin na natin that we won this battle. Next, please. Anyway, next, please. This one, I would say, it may be tough for now, right? But this has been an old saying, no? Remember diamonds, our favorite ladies? It gone through a lot of processes, hardship before it shines perfectly. Okay, next, please. So, ladies and gentlemen, next, please. I would say that one day in God's time, which will be very soon, we have to claim that we will all shine perfectly again. So with that, I would like to summarize what I said earlier, the 5 tips in order to be able to survive, sustain, and succeed financially during this pandemic. Number 1, we have to recognize our best asset. Number 2, we have to appreciate our most important resources. Number 3, be intimate with our business numbers. Number 4, learn to downgrade our lifestyle. And number 5, we have to have a wealth over poverty mindset. With that, I would like to say thank you so much, PCCI. Thank you everyone for listening. At the end of the day, let's all think and say, life will always be beautiful. Thank you.
Let's clap our hands again for Ms. Raina Ventura, everyone, our Finbassador from PCCI Muntinlupa. Thank you, Ms. Raina. Maybe our, okay, Ms. Rosalina Ordiales says that your presentation is great. It's very practical and timely. She says, thank you, Ms. Raina. Great presentation, she says. Okay, we would like to open the floor. Marily Alfonso says, thank you, Ms. Raina, as well. Okay.
Thank you.
I'd like to open the floor for your questions for Ms. Raina. If you have any questions.
By the way, may I also, if I can also ask our audience to please visit my website, www.rainaventura.com, and please like my Instagram and FB Raina the Finbassador. If you have questions also in my website, I write a lot of pieces there about financial wellness and all. I have blogs. I also conduct lectures training about specifically personal finance. I want everybody to understand. I also want to bridge the employers and employees mindset as far as finance is concerned. Thank you.